and welcome to Season 3, Episode 34 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in ECW history with match number 17 on our list, which is the Extreme Rules match for the ECW Heavyweight Championship between the champion, The Big Show, and the challenger, Ric Flair, from the July 11th, 2006 edition of ECW on SciFi. I consider this to be the best of the WWE ECW matches from the start of the SciFi series onward. I think this is a match that is incredible. I think it is a match that if you took it and transported it to the ECW arena anywhere between 95 and 2000, it would have been a blast there. And I'll kind of outline the reasons as to why I think it works. So, weird time, right? ECW had just kind of come back. Maybe people were excited for it. Maybe they were apprehensive. It depends on who you were. But I think we very quickly realized, coming out of One Night Stand 2006 into the debut of the SciFi show, that this wasn't going to be the ECW that we all wanted it to be. The Big Show is a big starting point for that. So Rob Van Dam wins the ECW World Title and the WWE World Title from John Cena at One Night Stand. He didn't win the ECW World Title. I should rephrase that. He won the WWE title, and he was, granted the ECW World Heavyweight Title to be the ECW brand's first champion. Rob Van Dam will get busted for marijuana, and he would end up losing both of those titles very quickly. He would lose the ECW title to The Big Show in a weird turn involving Paul Heyman to get the title on The Big Show. It's 2006. It's The Big Show. It's the ECW World Title. This program had just started. A really sour taste it left in everybody's mouth. But one thing that I will say, and I'm not defending, the SciFi show in that early going or the decision to put the belt on Big Show, is they made Big Show the extreme giant, right? So he was still the Big Show, but he was using weapons and he was destroying guys and putting everybody through tables in vicious fashion and everything like that. I'm going to use Sid as my example. So Sid came into ECW at the start of 1999, did the exact same thing. He was still Sid, but he would put people through tables with choke slams and power bombs instead. And the crowd went insane. Sid was so over. The same thing would have happened with The Big Show if The Big Show was in that role. Imagine it's 1998 and the Giant jumps from WCW to ECW instead of going to the WWF in 99, and he comes in and he starts choke slamming everybody over the ropes through tables the exact same way that Sid did. He would have been really over. Now we talk about Ric Flair. So I've mentioned this before. Shane Douglas, has crafted Ric Flair as this villain, as the devil in the fans of, in the eyes of all the ECW fans. But if Ric Flair showed up at the ECW arena, my God, that place would have been mental. And again, you look at Terry Funk, right? Terry Funk is someone that, although he started to do the King of the Death stuff and whatnot in Japan, and he had done all of the brawls and stuff like that, he came in and he really became, I'll say quote unquote extreme in ECW. Imagine Ric Flair doing the same thing in the mid-90s, falling out with WCW, coming in and doing all these hardcore matches and doing a feud with Shane Douglas and, working all of those guys. It would have been huge money, right? And the crowd would have eaten it up despite, what Shane Douglas has put into their heads about Ric Flair. It would have been awesome. So this match happening in 2006 and being as wild and crazy as it was, I wish that it would have happened in the ECW arena somehow. This match is awesome though. So Ric Flair was in a feud with Mick Foley. Coming out of One Night Stand, Mick Foley again had been, on this slightly anti-hardcore crusade. Comes out of that, gets into a feud with Ric Flair. And they did like a 2 out of 3 falls match where Mick Foley says, I'm not gonna, fight you in a hardcore match or anything like that. I'm gonna wrestle you at your game. They did that, I believe, it was like the Vengeance pay-per-view. It wasn't great. And they were building to them eventually going the hardcore route and having an I Quit match at SummerSlam, which would be absolutely fantastic, and a bloodbath, and just a really cool match between two legends that had never really crossed paths too much up until that point. But on the way there, we have Ric Flair making this stop in ECW to kind of play Foley's game, and what better way to do that than to challenge for the ECW title? But he's got the Extreme Giant, he's got the Big Show. And this match is an all-timer of a Ric Flair performance because he gives so much to put the Big Show over. Big Show looks great. This match, I remember the night this match happened, and I didn't get SciFi, so I would watch ECW on, I believe it was Friday nights. I'd watch it on Global Television in Canada. But I remember being on the message boards while this match was airing, and people freaking out about how violent it got, and nobody expected it. Because it's Ric Flair, and yeah, Ric Flair bleeds all over the place, but some of the stuff he did in this match, I don't think anybody saw coming. So we get just really good stuff in the opening. Big Show outpowering Flair, no selling the chops, no selling eye rakes, hitting just big moves on Flair. He hits a gorilla press and a vertical suplex and a power slam, and just the size discrepancy there is, it makes him so brutal, especially with Flair's, bad back, right, from the plane crash. Flair blades off a Big Show headbutt, so again, no weapons, just big time gory Ric Flair blade job and off a simple headbutt. Big Show gives him one of his big overhand chops, and Flair does like the Flair flop off of it, just really putting over how powerful the Big Show is. Flair is trying whatever he can do to fight and chop and scratch and claw, and he gets weapons in, but Big Show cuts him off. And finally, we get a cool sequence where Flair just repeatedly starts hitting low blows. He hits 4 different low blows on the Big Show. He goes for a barbed wire bat and carves Big Show up with that and show blades, which, isn't something we'd see a whole lot from him. He goes to work with a trash can. He takes a chair and hits a chair shot to the chest, which is crazy. A chair shot to the back. He finally goes for a cover and gets a 2, and Big Show just like presses him, right? Sends him flying out of the pin cover attempt, and you know that Flair is going to have to go real deep to get this win. And what does he do? He gets a bag of thumbtacks. And this is where this match is so memorable. Flair spreads the thumbtacks on the ground, hits 3 chair shots to the Big Show, and the Big Show takes the flat back bump into the tacks, which I would have never expected Big Show to take a tack bump. It was crazy, and just an insane finish where the tacks just made the Big Show mad. He gives Flair a brutal clothesline, choke slam, doesn't go for the fall, picks him up, and Big Show was using this Cobra Clutch move as his finish at the time, where he'd lock somebody in a Cobra Clutch, do a backbreaker with it, and then choke him out in the Cobra Clutch. So he does this to Flair, again, the bad backbreaker, Cobra Clutch, the referee calls for the bell, Flair's passed out, and Big Show just proceeds to fling Flair into the thumbtacks, and Flair takes this awkward, nasty, chest first bump into the tacks, and he's got tacks in his stomach and in his chest and in his legs. And again, who would have thought the Nature Boy Ric Flair, as old as he is in 2006, taking thumbtack bumps on a throwaway Sci-Fi Channel ECW match? It was crazy. It was unexpected. It's bloody. It's brutal. The crowd cannot believe what they're seeing. They get some really good crowd response, facial, reaction shots during the match. I love everything about this. It embodies the spirit of ECW so well. And for, the 15 minutes that this whole segment goes, it was that little glimmer of, maybe this ECW thing could work. And, ultimately that wouldn't really prove to be the case. But on this night, it was like it was the ECW arena. It was awesome. You need to watch this match if you have never seen it. You can find it on the WWE Network. I imagine it would probably be on Peacock, but I'm sure you could track it down online. And it did make a commercial WWE DVD release as well. I believe it was the Extreme Rules DVD that they did. You can follow me here on YouTube by subscribing to the channel so that you don't miss a video. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50, and you can please join me again tomorrow as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50. Top 50.